The president is being asked about drones. His response made me think about something. I want you to watch President's body language here when he's being asked about drones. You know his language when he's playful. You know his language when he's having fun. You know his language when he's prepared for tough questions. None of those body language are you going to feel here. But I want you to watch this, not from what he's saying. Watch his mannerisms. And tell me, if you're a poker player, what vibe does he have? Rob, if you can play. Again, it's about drones. Watch this clip. Go for it, Rob.
Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Being friendly.
All the drones that are flying around New Jersey and ports.
Sure.
It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening.
Watch his body language.
Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you shoot them down?
They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster.
He's talking to somebody.
I've decided to cancel my trip.
He's talking to somebody.
Intelligence briefing on
Was
the
that
drones?
Howard Lutnick?
I don't want to comment on that.
You can pause
any
You can pause it right there. Okay, so mannerisms. You know what vibe it gives me? Here's a vibe it gives me. When you're selling a business and the buyer agrees to buy it at a price and you're selling it, we've been through this process, you're raising money, you're doing all this stuff, we've done it many times. But when you're selling a business and it's going through the 90-day process, the 6-month process, whatever it is, the seller is never convinced that it's going to be done until the money hits the account. The feeling you have is, what if? What if the lawyer screwed up? What if last minute they try to change the price? What if some surprise comes? Because the buyer's job is to pay as little as possible for anything they're buying, right? So there's a little bit of games going on. The feeling I get when I watch this here with his interview is I have a feeling some people on the inside have reached out to him and spoken to him that you and I don't know that, but a lot of people are going to Mar-a-Lago, and he knows some stuff, but obviously he can't give those names, and those people have probably also said, don't say anything. When you come in, we're going to work on it together. But he also seemed a little bit paranoid between now and January 20th. Like, listen, don't over-celebrate. Don't be anything until we get in. We got to get in. There was some feeling of that I felt here, that maybe they're using this as a tactic to get something through. You have to, it could be 20%, 30%, 40%, but it could be something there. I'm watching this guy named Chase Hughes, who is a U.S. Navy intelligence chief. I'll share with you what breakdown he gave. But before I go to it, very interesting what he said that you got to think about this here. But Tom, what are your thoughts when you're following this drone story? Anything new you're hearing or reading about?
Yeah. I've got two things that line up with you. Number one, if this was really a threat and you had somebody right at our back door there, those drones would be taken out. I mean, the Chinese balloon went on for a little bit, and then the Biden administration couldn't handle it any further, and they shot the balloon down. Then there was another one that like popped and landed in the ocean or something, right? Yeah. So step one, if this was really bad and really a threat, these would be gone. Step two, the government is always doing things trying to move us into a position. Look at what came out just this week, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later, on January 6th. Oh, there was 26, 27 guys there that were facilitating. Oh, the rest of the footage did show them just opening doors. Yet the narrative they ran through the news media was something completely different. Mm-hmm. Well, I think this is military testing. This is military. We know what's going on.
Why, though? Why? Huh? That's the question.
Well, look, I mean, why did it Edwards Air Force Base? We were in Southern California, Pat. We talked about it in the last podcast. And people in Tehachapi, California City, and Mojave, which are the cities, if anybody looks on a map, are all surrounding Edwards Air Force Base. And Edwards Air Force Base was down the street from this thing in Burbank called the Skunk Works. And the Skunk Works is where they made these really secret, elaborate planes.
Burbank, Tom?
Yeah, and they flew them and they transport them on covered trucks and everything at midnight and took them out to Edwards. And people would see it all the time, and they never told us in Southern California. People talked about these sonic bats. There was a F-22 fighter. It was the stealth fighter flying around at Mach 2 or something. So I believe there's military testing going on, and they don't want to talk about it, but they want to kind of move the public's fear into area. Because what do? How do you get things done? Take advantage of a crisis, or maybe make some uncertainty, or make some crisis?
Bingo. Vinny, what do you think?
That's what I think.
I both of you, great freaking points. And and mind you, everything that's going to come out of my mouth is my opinion, because I've been doing like you. I've been getting, rabbit holes, but I've been getting all this information. The fact that they're going out at night, all these drones. Well, let's take a step back. The fact that John Kirby, okay, who's in the lack of intelligence community, him and Mayorkas, they're like, no, nobody's reporting anything. That's complete. They're lying. Okay, I just sent Rob a video of the mayor of Jersey today going, I think this is military. So either A, they're in on it. They're definitely keeping something from us, okay? Because some of the reports that I heard, I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was Tom in September, reports that 9 surface-to-air missiles were smuggled, possibly Iran, who knows the truth, were smuggled into the U.S. via Mexico to target Trump's plane, okay? Shout out to Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas, that little rat who you guys know that I love. They've been, I think, 2 possibilities. They've kept the border wide open to get all the illegals in. All the votes, all the everything, it failed. But for the future elections are going to be okay. They might have messed up and let in something that they're looking for right now. You know what the fall of Soviet Union...
Might?
No.
What about the guy you called out who said, you don't know who I am, but you will?
Oh, yeah. You mean the known terrorist? Remember that guy?
The guy from Azerbaijan.
He's like, soon you will know my name.
Guy,
well, maybe we might be getting that guy. So they leave the border wide open for the votes. And then all of a sudden, the fall of Soviet Union, how many nuclear tactical nukes have gone missing? I've heard reports that maybe one of these things made it to the United States. And the reason these drones are going at night is because they're trying to detect...
Is that what John Ferguson said?
I think he did, because that at night, the drones could look at radiation and it doesn't come through during the day. And then you have to ask, the real question is this: do you believe that they did it by accident because of the votes? Or do you believe this is all a fear thing, an attack, or something's going to happen? We're talking about the Black Swan event before January 20th. Because let's not forget, guys, he's still a threat. There's less than 40 days left. They tried everything to destroy him. They shot him in his head. I wouldn't be surprised if something crazy happens before that day to stop it.
Adam.
That's just my opinion.
So 3 things. Let's start with Trump, number 1. So you said only the paranoid survive, which we say all the time, by the way. Also, the future looks bright. In the NFL, sometimes when you have like a breakaway touchdown and a guy's running and he's just sort of lollygagging, he has it, and at the 1-yard line, he kind of drops the ball.
Fumbles.
Right before the end zone because he thinks he's in there home free, and then it comes back to a safety. That's what Trump hopefully is not doing whatsoever right now, because we're about 35 days
34 days.
Unbelievable until this. So yes, it's so interesting about the fact that he won't go to Bedminster. He won't say that, because a few months ago when he was shot in the face and they put a glass cage around him and they said, listen, don't get out of the cage. What did he do the first time he was in there?
He went to go help a lady.
He went to go help a lady that fell down. It's like, get back in the cage, Trump. Yeah. What are you doing? But here's a guy who we had a conversation. Should he stop golfing during the election season, during everything that was going on? I was like, don't go on a golf course, buddy. They're coming to get you, clearly. So who knows what's going on here? So even Trump, in this regard, is saying, I'm not going to Bedminster. One more thing. This comes down to national security or foreign interference or foreign surveillance. So when it comes to national security, like DHS, FBI, CIA, the FAA, aviation, you guys got nothing? No answers, no nothing? And if it is foreign interference or foreign surveillance, as Trump said, we would shoot it down. Yeah. The fact that it's been how many weeks? It's
November
6
18th.
weeks?
November 18th.
Over a month, and we still don't know what the hell's going on here?
They know, but they won't tell us.
No, but the public doesn't know.
Yeah, so listen, there's a couple things. One is a John Ferguson guy that talked, Rogan shared this clip of John talking about, look, I don't know what it is, and I'm not a guy, I'm in the business, I'm somebody that does stuff, Rob, is this the clip, a shorter one? Because I don't want the longer one. If you
Yeah, I have two short clips. One of him explaining what he believes that drones are, and then the second about a nuclear warhead.
Go ahead and play this one here.
Great.
From what we understand, they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night, really, okay? Because they don't see shit. The only reason why you would ever fly an aircraft, an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something. We also have special sensors that can detect radioactive material. So, with this gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead. None of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it.
This is the movie Some of All Fears.
Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything.
We can pause right there. So when you hear what he says, then there's another guy that's on MSNBC, Michael B., who's a drone specialist. He's like, look, I don't know what's going on here. Here's all I can tell you. I went out there where all these drones are in the sky, and I said, okay, let me take my drone up there so I can get close to it and see what's going on. He said the weirdest thing happened. He says, as I'm about to go up, it didn't give me clearance. He says, how did everybody else get clearance, but I'm not getting clearance? Why am I not getting clearance while he's trying to get up there? It's kind of weird. He says, look, I'm not telling you anything. All I'm saying is I do this for a living, and I couldn't get up there to see to use the drone. Anyways, then Gordon Chang, who is been on a podcast before, he's on Forbes, and he's sitting there saying, you got to be ready for the worst case scenario. He says 50% chance, China's behind it, and they're working on something. They've been talking about war for a while. Now, this guy's speculation is the fact that the lady asked him a question at the end, should we be worried? It says 50% chance there is something going on here, and we have to be ready for it. That's the interview with Maggie. You don't need to play the clip. It's 15 minutes, but I watch it. So I'm like, okay. Then it said, Pentagon says it's not military drones nor foreign. That's what the Pentagon says. It's drones not ran by individuals. So those are two things we know. Not foreign, not military. That's what's being said. Not
Individuals.
Exactly. Maybe CIA, maybe Department of Homeland Security, maybe FBI. But he says, we've not had a war in our soil since 1812. That's what Gordon Chang is talking about. And we have to be ready for this to be a war. He is saying this. Now, whether it is or not, it is what it is. Then Chase Hughes, who's a Navy intelligence guy, chief, and he's got very interesting views that he talks about. He says, look, let me just kind of give you guys a breakdown. And he breaks down how to spot a Psyop, okay? And this guy talks about 25 things that he trained CIA agents on and how to, identify a Psyop. He's written a couple books, very interesting. He says, number one, okay, is distraction is a tactic. Is this happening because they're distracting us from a major event that's going on? Well, what is a major event that's going on? Well, a new guy's about to take office. And what's going to happen if he takes office? A lot of people who have power and control for a long time may lose a lot of their privileges.
For sure.
So it could be a distraction tactic. Number two, using fear as a tool to unite. Fear. The government uses fear a lot as a tool to unite. So if there's a threat big enough, we will unite. Cold War was called what? A Red Scare, right? Yeah. Post 9/11, they used 9/11 as weapons of mass destruction for them to introduce what to
terror.
us? The Patriot Act,
war
right?
on terror.
And what came after 9/11 in November of 2001? TSA. Before that, you would just go. So everything became more surveillance of the people. You need a mass. So this could be a way to say, here's what's going on. Let me tell you, because of this, we need to introduce the next, da-da-da. So we need to kind of be careful with that. Then testing the waters. The government, he's saying, could use this method to test the waters to see how willing are we. Like, look at what they did with COVID. We may need to shut down. 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 Every outlet that says the same thing, then we're like, we may need to shut down. Mm-hmm. What are you saying? We may need to take the kids out of school. This is horrible. Is it worth at one life? Life. We need to. So everybody was like, yeah, we need to shut down schools. And then the government was like, wow, these guys are dumb enough to buy into it. That's great. Let's push a little bit more, right? By using this fear. In 1964, the Gulf of Tonkin is a body of water in Southeast Asia. They used the fear of that to be able to escalate the war on Vietnam. The reports of fake naval ships that are out there, guess what? That helped them as well. And then he continues, okay? Continues. He says, while this is happening, the phases are 3 phases. Normalization phase keeps us curious, but not panic. Number 2, setting stage for a big event you can't ignore. That's the second one. Number 3, a need for savior, increase in defense budget, more control in hands. Hey, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And he goes into go look up Project Bluebeam, which, by the way, I know a lot of people, when you look at Project Bluebeam, hey, it's really this, it's really that. You gotta be careful with this theory. It's not. But guess what? News Nation did a story on Project Bluebeam. This is News Nation. What is Project Bluebeam? Drone conspiracy theory. Drone sightings have been consistent across New Jersey. It has spread beyond the Northeast to Ohio and San Diego. State and local officials are calling for greater transparency. You can go a little bit lower. What is Project? Canadian journalist Serge Monas is credited with coming up with the theory of Project Bluebeam, wherein there's a plot to engender a dictatorial universal government that abolishes Abrahamic religious Christianity, Judaism, Islam in favor of a new world order.
Aliens,
by the way, right. So, hey, aliens are coming. We have to be ready. So who's talking about this? Several prominent figures have discussed how they believe continued drone sightings and Project Bluebeam is being intertwined. Actress Roseanne Barr. Anyways, all these other names that they talk about here, right? And you can go up and look through some of the names, and they're saying, well, all these conservatives are, you got to be careful with what they're saying here. Anyways, he continues. Here's how to spot a psyop. Step number 1.
Ooh.
Analyze the source. Okay. Sensational headlines. All right. 2, who owns the platform?
Okay.
Whoever owns the platform can drive intentions and motives through the platform. 3, question the timing. Does this happen during the time of a bigger issue? Well, yes. A new guy is a president-elect that's about to be a president whose administration is who? Musk, Vivek, RFK, Tulsi, all of these guys. They don't want them on the inside. Kash Patel, they don't want these guys on the inside, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So we know that's happening. Then it says, follow the narrative. Are multiple outlets saying the same things to condition the mind? We're not there yet. 5, look for emotional trigger, like using certain words to get a reaction from you. 6, check evidence. 7, ask one question. Ready? With all that going on, is this going to expand government control or create new laws?
Ooh,
what a great question to ask. What a great question to ask. If they drive this, are they going to use this to expand budget? Who wins if they expand budget? We go from $800 billion to $2 trillion. Guess who wins? That money's going through some business that's going to be weapons of mass, whatever you want to, military-industrial complex, right? So then 8, look for follow-ups. Psyops will vanish when they have served their purpose with no follow-up as a distraction, and it goes away. And number 9, trust your instincts. Cultivate critical thinking. Number 10, look for patterns on how they're sharing the news with us. Who benefits from this? What evidence is being shown? Is it verifiable? Why now? Then he wraps it up with a very interesting thing that I suggest everybody do this as well. I'm always a fan of this. This may not be a bad time to have some cash. This may not be a bad time to go protect your family. Whatever state you're living in, whatever the laws are, may not be a bad time for you to be prepared. We don't know what's going on. Guess what? Future looks bright, but only the paranoid survive. Go lock it up. Go protect yourself. Because if something happens to the grid, if power goes down, if accounts are shut down, if you have no access to credit cards, guess what? And you ain't got cash, then what happens? And how long can that lead to insanity? By the way, again, keep this in mind. This is not an idea of injecting fear and scaring the crap out of you, okay? It's not the case. It's like a father talking to the son saying, hey, you just hung out with that guy. Yes. You were supposed to be at that party tonight. Yes. They got caught with some cocaine. Yes. They went to jail. Yes. They're going to be kicked out of college that they're going to. Yes. How many times have I told you, if you hang out with this guy, that's going to happen? I know who this kid is, okay? And the father or the mother is not selling fear, it's selling the nightmare. Sometimes you got to sell the dream. Sometimes you got to sell the nightmare. In situations like this may not be a bad time for you to stay calm. Don't be emotional. Don't lose control. Don't panic. That's not what you do. Matter of fact, when tensions go high, you got to go here. And you just kind of watch and monitor to see how everybody's reacting. And you just kind of move very slow, methodical, but you're being prepared for this. It's not a bad time to be checking all the things that you need to be checking. Generator, cash, some supply, protection. And by the way, I don't have a sponsor. It's not like, hey, and today's sponsor is Generator XYZ. No. I don't have one. I'm just telling you, be prepared right now. Your job is to protect your family. When you hear what this guy, Chase Hughes, has to say, Tom, where does your mind go when he's breaking it down the way he does? How much credibility do you give to what he's saying?
I give a lot of credibility to what he's saying, and I'll tell you why. There was something that I studied a lot. I was in grad school when TWA 800 went down in Long Island Sound. It was 747, the last several years of TWA operating as an airline, leaving New York, heading to Europe. And it gets up, gains altitude over Long Island Sound, and explodes in midair. It exploded and went down. Now, there were people on the ground in Long Island Sound, and there was some footage, because people didn't have camera phones. It was 1997, I believe. 96. And there was very credible evidence and some fuzzy footage of what looked like a streaking missile, that this thing was shot down by a SAM, surface-to-air missile. And I remember listening to all that, and then no one wanted to talk about that. And these guys are trying to get on TV and showing this. These look like very credible people. And there was like 5 of them, and 2 of them didn't know each other, and there was 3 of them together. So it's like, wait, these people don't even know each other. And so they said, oh, there was frayed wiring in the central fuel tank that sparked. Why is there wiring in a fuel tank? Yeah. Central wiring in a fuel tank that arced, and the fuel tank exploded. To which I acted, I was asking, well, how did the wiring get frayed? And I had a friend that said, well, it's probably that damn missile.
Yeah, no shit.
So no one talked about it. And then this came out that was absolutely true some 20 years later. Why did the NTSB seize all the recordings from the tower radar recordings at night? They seized them because they didn't want evidence of secondary things. And the answer is, no one talks about it, but it was probably the U.S. Navy had a test going on, and they effed up, and we shot down a passenger plane. Jeez. That is what a ton of people, they all say, conspiracy theory. Well, come on, this had never, ever happened before like this. So when I hear things like this, I remember sitting through that and watching how the government was so silent, watching how the NTSB changed their story, and watching how it happened. So when I hear this guy talking about the government very quietly going about its business, and he thinks that it's government drones that are out there sniffing for something, I kind of believe that. Excuse me. No, I find it believable. I'm going to say right now, I find it believable that said, if something got smuggled in, they're trying to find it. And there's things we don't know about. There's people that are apprehended all the time that are truly bad people. Now, it's not like Hollywood. They're not holding on to a nuclear suitcase or anything. But there's really bad people that we apprehend all the time. So when I see a PBD and I see this guy, I say, you know what? This is very believable because, number one, it's the job of government to do this, that even when they F up and something gets across our border, it's their job to have all these systems available to go find out what's up. But then I see this as very believable. But on the other side, I also see it as, okay, what are they trying to sell, and what do they want us to do, and what do they need? It's exactly the Psyop you're talking about. Who's the source? Who's the platform owner?
So
what's
what is
the
it?
message?
So what is the distraction? So what are they trying to distract us from now?
Well, think about it.
Does the establishment, I'll give you 4 letters, Doge, right? I think that the establishment, Vinny, do you think the establishment fears Doge? Do you think it's serious?
1,000%. That's what I was just going to say.
What do they fear the most?
I think Donald Trump is obviously number one, because if you guys have been paying attention this past week, the COVID stuff came out and it was all BS. Yeah. It was all us. January 6th, FBI was completely involved, and we're going to get to that.
26 of them.
Jay-Z, Diddy, Biden's pardons. Everything's going on, and then this happens. And to mention the Project Bluebeam, I'm not even going to say the word, but if you think about it, COVID was a test run in my eyes to see, like you said, how much can we make these people stay inside and be scared? What did it last? About 2 years? People are still wearing masks to this day, okay? They're still doing it. So you know what? That Project Ruby means, you know what? How do you unite everybody? Think about this. How do you bring everybody, race, black, white, tall, short, gay, straight, Muslim, Christian, everybody together?
Yeah.
You have a threat that's from outside this world. Could you know if they do? If they say this, hey guys, newsflash, we're in contact with an alien mothership. They say if we don't do X, Y, and Z, they're gonna attack. If you think people panicked for a flu from China, they're gonna lose their shit if that happens. And and you nailed it. Donald Trump is coming in, Tom, Doge. Everybody is petrified. I just saw an interview with the guy, who's the guy that Elon talked about, the billionaire that worked for PayPal. He just interviewed yesterday.
Oh, Peter Thiel.
No, the other guy, the chubby guy that flips Reid Hoffman is losing his mind going, he's going to come after me. The billionaires are panicking, and I wouldn't put it past them. How does Alejandro Mayorkas, the Department of Home, your job is securing the homeland. They don't know. Intelligence community, they don't know. It's BS. They all know what's happening, and we're going to find out very soon what the hell it is.
I've been looking into this, Pat, and I'll just give you one very, very fast example. Do not underestimate how upset and how freaked out the establishment is at the prospect of losing the Department of Education. The Department of Education is a propaganda machine for the next generation.
No question.
They need it for their globalist agenda, and the elimination of that causes a big gap. Because guess what's going to happen?
You're so right. Maybe it's number one, Tom, because it's the future. You control kids. You can shape their mindset. So anyways, we can move past the story to the next one. All I'm saying is, gang, in the military, Vinny, you may remember this, the saying was, stay alert, stay alive. Ooh. Stay alert, stay alive. Stay alert, stay alive. Stay paranoid, stay aware, stay curious, do your own due diligence, question everything, question everybody, whatever they're saying. Don't jump to conclusion. No matter who's saying it, go do your own due diligence and see what you come up with. But I'm going to get...
With the rise of social media, we're gonna find out the truth. You know, the movie A Few Good Men, where it's like, you can't handle the truth. America wants to know what the hell's going on here. The days of legacy media being the only people that dictate what you're hearing are over. So now podcasts like this and independent journalism and citizen journalism is going to come out there and find the truth.
That's a good point. This hat, remember this hat that we showed? I told the crew, I said, I don't know how this hat's going to do. Let me put it to you this way. We don't have this for sale, so you can't even buy it. It's done. We're shipping 1,000 of these out today. So for some of you guys that are waiting for it, it's officially at our warehouse. It's going out to you. Merry Christmas. By the way, Rob, can you play the clip with Jill Biden talking about happy holidays and a kid corrects it? We're at a point that kids are correcting the First Lady that, hey, why can't you just say Merry Christmas, that a kid has to lecture the president's wife. Watch this clip here. It's so funny. It's 13 seconds. Go ahead.
Hello. How are you? Hi. Happy holidays.
Watch
Hi.
it.
Happy Christmas.
Yes.
Happy Christmas. Yes.
Happy holidays to Happy Christmas. You can pause it right there. The kid is more comfortable saying Merry Christmas than our First Lady is. But anyways, this sold, the USA hat versus this hat, in 6 weeks, it sold the same amount as the USA hat did in 6 months.
That's ridiculous.
This hat, Christmas. But so I'm not selling it to you. We don't have it. We still have these Christmas hats left, these two Merry Christmas. One thing I will tell you that moved insanely fast were these sweaters. These sweaters that the quality is insane. You can literally sleep in these things with winter being around the corner. This one here, hot item, going off the shelf. This is 3D quality. And on the back, it shows future looks bright. These are still out there.
This might be the softest thing I've ever touched. I'm not even joking.
Wow.
Seriously?
You're 44. You've touched
Well,
something. But let me go
Can we
back
start
to this
the
part
podcast?
Here.
I'm ready for that.
If you go to VT Merch, what we do have right now is gift cards. And this is what we're doing with the gift cards. You can buy a gift card for a friend, relative, fan, somebody that's watching this. I had a husband today say, hey, Pat, can you send me a Manek to my wife? She absolutely loves PBD Podcast. And can you please make sure you say Merry Christmas to my wife, which I did. And let me even give her a quick shout out. The last name was Lynch. If I can find this thing here, Chris Lynch, shout out to you for sending a Manek to give a shout out to your wife, Caroline Lynch. So you got a Manek and you're getting a shout out here. But go order a gift card. The first 50 people that order a $50 gift card, we're also sending a hat, Future Looks Bright hat in there for you as well. Give it to somebody you love for this Christmas. It's a lot of merch moving right now, guys, and people are in a very optimistic mode of Future Looks Bright. We want 1 million people around the world wearing this gear. Future Looks Bright. Go to the sweater. It's cold. Get one for yourself and a loved one. Again, go to vtmerch.com. Place your order.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.